Hi everyone, my name is Lily. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. This is the first video I'm ever producing. But my name is Lily. I'm a current PhD candidate in Perth, Western Australia, and today I'm going to be talking you through my Notion template setup. So if you haven't heard of Notion, Notion is an all-in-one piece of software that allows you to organise your life. So you can create databases, Kanban boards, just about anything you can imagine to organise your life. And I love Notion. I've been using Notion now for many months, and I think I've come up with the optimal PhD student template. So that's what I want to share with you all today. So without further ado, let's get into my Notion template. So I'm not actually able to show you my actual PhD page, just because it has sensitive information regarding my PhD, such as unpublished data. So I'm going to just walk you through the template that I've created, but it's exactly the same as what I've been using in my own personal PhD. So at the top of the page, you have a header, and you can change this header if you would like, but I currently have it set to DAPI, which is a stain for cell nuclei. Then in the corner, you can have an emoji, and I've got this set to be a graduation cap, because let's face it, I want to graduate. Then you have a little quote section. You can change this quote to be whatever you would like it to be, but I currently have it as a project without a corresponding goal is known as a hobby, a goal without a corresponding project, that's called a dream, and an underpaid project with a distinct goal and endless literature review is called a PhD. And I just found this quote online and I thought it was quite funny. Over here, I have a PhD countdown. This is actually a countdown for my PhD, just as an example. So I have 29 weeks, 5 days, 6 hours, 49 minutes, and 8 seconds to go until I submit my PhD, which is horrifying because I am so not ready. But I made this widget using a website called Indify, which I will link in the comments below. And this website is great. You can create lots of different widgets for your Notion and embed them. But I just like this little countdown widget to let me know how long I've got left. And if you want to go into dark mode, you can, but I like to keep it in white mode. So I have a few different pages on here, which I'll go through in a moment. Some just general pages, and then some that are for specific papers. Then we've got your task section of your homepage. So this is inspired by another YouTube video, and I will leave that in the description below. But basically what you can do is with Notion, you can have a calendar view. So you can have a table view for all of your tasks. And these are some example tasks that I've put in. But then you can also have a calendar view. So if I go back to September when I made this template, you can see that there is lots of different random bits of lab work in here, just sorts of lab work I like to do. And you can create lots of different tasks, and you can have little context things. So you might say this is actually desk work and not lab work. So you change it there. You change the little toggle. You can toggle whether it's done or not. And you can set the due date. So this imaging would take 2 days, for example. So I've set the 2 dates in there. This is a formula, so don't mess with this if you download this template. But basically it ticks itself if it's due in the current week. And then you can tick whether it's high priority. I've also got a formula that tells you how many days until something's due. And then you can select which project it's for. So in a PhD, you often have lots of different aims to your project. Say this is for aim 2, you could select the aim 2 little toggle. So for example, I'll go to today and I'll make an item. So let's say I need to write a paper. Context, it's desk work, and it's paper related. I haven't done it yet, but it's due today. So then it automatically ticks that it's due this week. Let's say it's high priority because it's due today. It says I've got 1 day remaining and it's for aim 1 of my PhD. Now it's going to sit in your calendar like that, so you can visualize what's due. If you scroll down, you have your inbox, which is for your tasks. So say I also need to mount an immuno. Context is it's mounting and it's lab work. And it's not due until tomorrow. It's not high priority, but it's for aim 2. And notice as soon as I click aim 2, it disappears from my inbox. It'll still show in my calendar, but it disappears from my inbox. And that's because I filtered out anything where the project is not empty. So it only shows when project is empty. So this is just a place for you to add your tasks in a seamless way, so you don't have to scroll to the particular date on the calendar. this is just a way to quickly add your tasks in, but as soon as you've selected which project it's for, it'll disappear. So though it's still stored, it won't be shown. Then we have tasks due this week. So this is filtered to only show the tasks where due this week is selected and done is not. So as soon as you finish, it doesn't show it anymore. But basically, it just is a place for you to see what you've got coming up in the next week, how long you've got to do it, which project it's for, and then once you've finished it, you can tick it. And then if you want to look at your overall tasks list, you can just go into tasks list and it will show up here. So next, let's talk about the pages. So I have quite a few different pages and we'll just start at the beginning. So firstly, I've got meeting and seminar notes. And so how I've got it set up is you can start a new note. So let's say this is a one-on-one meeting with your supervisor. So you can load the one-on-one meeting with your supervisor template into the page and it will say meeting type and it will automatically say one-on-one. So let's say it's a one-on-one meeting with supervisor. Today's date, so the 23rd of the 1st, 21. So you select today's date and in attendance was me and supervisor. Then you can write your meeting notes down here and any things to do after you've had your meeting. And then you've got them stored. So if you want, you can add an icon and say, this was a great meeting. I don't really want that emoji. Let's say party. Yes, that's the emoji I'm after. So it was a great meeting. It was really successful. And so you've added a little emoji to symbolize that. And then it shows up in your little list. So you can see the emoji that it's been given. And that's basically how you'd use the meeting and seminar notes. It's just a way to keep all your notes stored in one place. Next, we've got new papers to read. So here's just some papers that I really want to read that I just put in for examples. But let's say you wanted to look at a new paper. Example paper would be the title. Tags, these are the things that I study. I look at multiple sclerosis, neurotrauma, and oligodendrocytes and myelins. They're the tags I've got in here, but you can create any tags you'd like. So if you want to delete these, you can. But let's say you study astrophysics. I don't know what you study. So let's say that's something you've done. The author can just be something like Smith et al. URL, you paste the URL in there. Is it a review paper or a research paper? Because that's important to know. A research paper, and then you've added it today. And then it's stuck in there. So then when you have some spare time, you can go back through your new papers to read section and just see what papers you need to be reading to keep up with the current literature. Next, onto the thesis figures tracker. This is one of my favourite things that I've made. So basically, you add your figures in. So this is an example figure that I've done. So you put your title as the main header. You can select which chapter it's for. So it can be your lit review, your different aims, or your discussion. And that will determine which column it sits in. Then you can say whether it's based on something. So it might be based on Smith et al. 2021. Forgetting what year it is, obviously. 2021. Which might be the paper that we just added to the previous page. You can add comments, so if there's some comments you want to remember about that figure, whether you've created it on BioRender, Procreate, Google Drawings, Prism, PowerPoint, Fiji, whatever you use to create your figures, you can keep track of that there. Is it a data figure or a schematic? So it might be some graphs, so you change it to be data, or it might be more of a schematic figure, so you change it to that. You can put the date started and the date completed, whether it has a figure legend written or not. So this one, say, doesn't have its figure legend written, so I'd select no. Then whether you finished it completely, you can select that you have or haven't. And then the most important thing is to upload your figure. This is just a random figure I pulled from the internet, but you add that in the image bar. So you'd add your figure in there. And that means that when you come back to the main Kanban board, you can see all your figures are lined up like this. And so you can actually visualize your figures as a whole across your whole thesis. And then you just select whether it needs a scale bar or not. So if it's a schematic, obviously it's not needed. But some images, if you have representative images in there, then you need to put scale bars in. So then that's when you need to click yes or no. But then this is great. So I can move that across. So say we had that figure in lit review. I changed my mind. I want it in AIM1. So I could just drag that figure across and it would move chapters. And this, like I said, is just a great way to visualize all the different figures you have lined up in your thesis. Next, I have a page for protocols. So I have lab-based protocols and analysis protocols, but you could change that to be whatever you need it to be. So for example, if you had a lab-based protocol, say you were doing immunohistochemistry, you could go in and you could start writing out your protocol. So you could be like, the first thing I need to do is apply pen to slide, for example, and you can type it all out. But obviously, sometimes you have your lab's protocols are already printed out, so you could embed a PDF of your lab protocol instead. It's just a place for you to keep all your different protocols, because when you have a big project, sometimes you have a lot of different protocols to keep track of, and it can be really hard, and it's always easy to lose random pieces of paper. Next, I have publication record. This is just for your own kind of record. So this is for you to keep track of where you've published your papers and which papers you've published. So say you have a research paper, you can embed the PDF of that, or you have a review, you can embed the PDF of that. And that's just a way for you to keep track of what papers you've published. And next I have a place for literature notes. So this is really great to organize your literature review. So I haven't put anything much in here yet. I do on mine, but obviously this is just the template. So for example, you'd have the example article, you put your authors, the year it was written, you can put the file in if you want to. Alternatively, you could have a section for the URL if you would rather have the URL there. In vitro or in vivo, this obviously applies to more biology-based PhD students, so you could get rid of that if you weren't a biology PhD student. But say species, so it was in human. Journal, it was in Nature, great paper, wish that was me. And the type of article, it's a research article, not a review. And then you can add your little notes on it here, so you can have a summary of the paper, the key findings of the paper, and then any critiques you have of their methodology or their results. And then you're able to build up a literature database here, basically, which means that when you come to write your literature review or when you come to prepare for your Viva, you're able to basically have all your literature notes in one place. I originally had this in an Excel spreadsheet, but I found that having it organised in Notion was a lot better. You can also search, so if I wanted to see only Nature papers, I could search for Nature and it would come up with just the Nature papers. Or if I wanted to search for a particular author, I could type it in. And finally, we have a new addition, which is word counts. So when I originally released this template on Reddit and my Instagram and my blog, I didn't have this page on there, but I've recently added it because I found it to be really useful for me writing up my PhD. So basically, this is the word count. So you'd have your example days. So you have day 1, which is just your base word count, so kind of ignore that. But then every day after that, so that day 2 onwards, what you do is you put the date in for the day, and then you just put how many words in total you have in your papers and your chapters. So say if I look at the word count on paper 2, it said I have 150 words written in total. So that's not how many I wrote each day, it's how many I've written in total. And basically what it does is it sums it up at the end. So you've got a total word count. So this is how many words I wrote in total by day 2, and this is how many words I had written on day 1. So you just add the day before's value into the next column. And basically this allows you to then calculate how many you've written that day. And my goal personally is to be writing 500 words a day in my PhD as I'm in my final write-up stages. So this box automatically ticks if you're over 500 words, but you could change this formula, so you could change that 500 value to whatever you would like it to be. That basically just ticks off when you've reached your goal. And at the bottom I've got it so it tells me how many times it's been checked. So I've got the percentage of times it's been checked, and obviously I want to keep that value as high as possible. And then I've got stuff for specific papers. So I've got paper 1, 2 and 3. They're all the same in the template. Obviously you'd put different data into each. So I'll just walk you through paper 1. So you got your paper title here. So whatever your paper's title, you'd write it in there. Your aims and hypothesis there. And then you got something very similar. So you have your figures tracker, which is similar to the tracker that I had for the thesis. And basically you can put whether it's in progress, not done, in progress or done. But the thing is the same sort of thing. So you add the figure 1, example figure here. Then you add the image file so you can visualize it like I said before. So if you've based that figure on something else, say you've seen a really good figure on another paper and you want to base it on that, you just make sure you reference it. So you put whatever it's been based on there. Create it on, so I've just got one option here, but obviously you can put whatever options in depending on where you make your figures. Whether it's data or schematic, so for example data, date completed, date started, figure legend or scale bar. So you just need to add in whatever is suitable for you, but it's just a way for visualizing your figures trackers. And then finally we have the experiments tracker. So this is just a way of visualizing, it's another Kanban board, and it's just another way of visualizing how far through your experiments you are for each paper. So for example, I haven't started experiment number 2. That might be an immuno run, for example, and I haven't started. But then tomorrow I'm going to start optimizing it, so I can pick it up and I can drag it across to start optimizing it. And then what you can do is you can add any information you'd like about that experiment into the page description. So for example, I need to write what antibodies I used and what imaging settings were done when I acquired the images. But you can just move them along. So it's optimizing, optimized, staining in progress, mounting in progress, staining complete, imaging in progress, imaging complete, analysis in progress, analysis complete, representative images taken and finished and written up. And obviously this is all very specific to my PhD, as I do a lot of immunohistochemistry experiments, but you can change these to be whatever you'd like them to be to make them most suitable for your PhD experiments or your PhD in total. And that's all I have for each paper. But obviously you can add more stuff in, so you just have to click the /bar and you get this little list of being able to add stuff in. So you can add more pages, you can add a to-do list, you can add so many different things in Notion. And if you want a more basic tutorial on how to actually use Notion, if you're not very proficient in it yourself, then just let me know. But that's basically my Notion tutorial. So that's my Notion template that I've made for PhD students. I hope you guys find it useful. I will leave the actual template in the description below so that you're able to copy it. So basically what you need to do is you need to go to the website and just click the little duplicate button in the top corner, and that should allow you to duplicate it to your own Notion. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it for you. I'm hoping to be making lots more videos on this channel talking about my PhD and productivity. But if there's anything you'd like to see from me in particular, please let me know in the comments below. And I will see you next time.